Hey everyone, this is Jack and welcome back to my channel. We left off last time with just getting about to hopping on the Shinkansen train on our way to Osaka. This is my first time in Japan and it will be spanning a full couple of weeks, touring different parts of the country, and it is in celebration for my friend Alien's birthday, which is on January 11. So we had finished purchasing our ekibens and our snacks for lunch, and of course, the train came on time. After getting on, we unpacked our goodies, and I had a $25 meal that had fish, rice, and very healthy options. And Alien got a really cool box where you pull a string and it starts a chemical reaction to heat up your food for you so that it stays warm while you're eating it. It was unagi donburi, which is freshwater eel on top of rice.
Well, you know what I can do? Eat mine right now.
Rest. Lunch.
Yo, dude. Go your personal little animal night, bro. Sick, bro. Yo, see you.
The train ride was so smooth, it didn't feel like you were even on a train. The countryside was actually really beautiful and flat and expansive and neat. It was really cool to see how people live out past the city areas, and it's actually very much like how Japanese animation depicts it. I took a half hour to an hour nap, and by the time I knew it, it took less than 3 hours to get to our destination, and after that we took a cab to go to our hotel. We were staying at the Bridge Hotel, which is right beside an American town. Literally, they call it their American district, where they have a bunch of thrift stores like Jet Rag, which is local to LA, and other designer brands for athletic wear, and so on. We were staying on the 11th floor in 2 different rooms. Originally, we had 2 single beds, but we ended up pushing those 2 together and creating a queen-size bed. You kind of had to crab walk yourself along the side of the wall to get to the luggage area. It was pretty small, but very economical for what we needed, since we were only going to be staying here at night. However, the downstairs was the most interesting part of the hotel. Not only do you have an eating area where you could purchase a breakfast buffet every morning for an additional price, but there is a happy hour with unlimited beer, soju, and sake with different flavors. And at nighttime, there's also unlimited ramen that is being served. So that was pretty cool. The massage chairs had like a 10-minute limit, but nobody ever stuck to that because it just felt too good after a full day of walking. After unloading our bags and checking in, we decided to take a walk around the American town and head to the train station that would lead us to the aquarium. Oh my god, we made fun of this chicken gym the whole time. It's like they had chicken gym and chicken golf. I have no idea what it is, but maybe your chickens can do those things too and are super athletic. We ended up coming back to Moncher later on, so keep an eye out for that. They're known for their fluffy cream-filled sponge cakes. Our stop is Shinsenbashi, and that means it's the heart of the town or the city. Shin, the character for that, is actually heart, which is the same as Chinese, and it actually kind of looks like a heart with arteries, which is kind of cool. So it took us like 40 to 45 minutes on the train to get to the Osaka Kaiyukan, which is the aquarium that is right by the bay. You can actually see it on the way over there. There's a giant Ferris wheel that is very visible on the train, and it's located right outside of the train station after you exit. There's this giant giraffe made out of Legos, which is really cool. A lot of really cute storefronts that are themed for winter. The outside is a very strong geometric shape building, and I wish I caught the layout of the inside of the aquarium because it was so cool and fluid with the biggest tank in the center, and we'll get to that in a bit. We walked straight for the pier, and we were able to catch the sun setting, which was a bonus. It was really, really windy, but the sunset was worth everything, and we got some amazing shots. Heading inside, there was a cafe that had all these really cute whale shark shaped items and sea creatures that were molded into different things, and of course that was right next to the gift shop, but I knew that the exit was gonna let us out there, so we decided to return for that after we had toured the aquarium. We took an escalator all the way to the top where we could see the pier again, and then we were led into an area that was more like the greenhouse that featured a bunch of different plants and some waterfalls, and I caught the last of the sunset, which was so gorgeous, before heading inside to the darker areas, and that was the rest of the sunlight that we saw until the end of the day. And how it's laid out is that you go around these glass tanks that actually are curved, and each of them spiral all the way down into the middle where the biggest tank is, featuring the whale sharks, other smaller sharks, and huge manta rays. We saw seals, different fish that had smooth scales, bumpy heads, huge crabs, you name it. Each species is divided by ocean area around the world, and they have everything really nicely illustrated and descriptions so that you could read to your heart's content. They actually have the same tanks featured all the way down, but as you're going down the spiral, you can see a different perspective of the tanks that you didn't get to see previously. So in the beginning of your walk, you'll see some of the tanks above water, and then as you spiral down the aquarium, you'll actually see more eye level underwater. It's difficult to explain, but I hope that makes sense. It was really cool to see dolphins that were smaller and shaped differently with these wavy lines that were patterned on their bodies. I've never seen dolphins like this before. I've only seen sleek, shiny gray ones, and these looked like they were matte on their skin. They were just as playful though. And smart. This one went to the bathroom and then tucked his head all the way down to a lower part of the water that was clean and just kind of stayed there until the bathroom part mixed in with the rest of the water. So I don't know if they were doing that intentionally, but no other dolphins passed that area afterwards either. Like there was one that passed by and was like, "No, Jerry, you're not gonna do that in front of my face," and then just swam away. The biggest tank is pretty much the star of the show though, and it was like living wallpaper that you would watch on your computer as your visualizer. It looks like the animals and creatures are just floating around and flying, but they're swimming and gliding elegantly, and it's just such a wonder to see them up close like this. Some of them were sleeping too. I really love this underwater scene. It's just something that we don't get to see every day. Even if you have an aquarium, it's not the same unless you have a giant one that hosts a bunch of different sea life. I actually swam with wild whale sharks when I was in the Philippines a few years ago, probably like 2016 if I remember correctly, and they were like twice the size, but they don't eat anything besides plankton despite their huge size, and it was so magical. It was probably one of the most memorable things about the ocean that I have experienced in all my life was just swimming right beside one of these creatures. We weren't allowed to touch them, but I was able to swim close enough where if I reached out I could have, and it just like allowed me to flow in its currents along with other fish. And I can just remember like the coolness of the water and the heat of the sun and the smell of the fresh air and the salty water was just unbelievable. It's an experience that I am super grateful for my parents and taking me, and for all of the adventures they have actually allowed me to experience in my life. I'm going to cite SpongeBob here, and another fun fact is Steven Hillenburg actually went to the same school that I did. Of course, I attended years later. RIP to this fantastic, crazy man, but it's really heartwarming to know that his cremated ashes were scattered in the Pacific Ocean after his death, and after making such a huge impact in the animated world through marine characters such as a sponge. Who knows, maybe his remnants reached all the way to Japan. I think sunfish are so weird because they have the shark fin thing going on, but there's no lateral fins. It's kind of like, how do they propel themselves forward? Anyway, fun fact, did you guys know that I worked on The Little Mermaid 3D stereoscopic conversion? My name is actually in the credits, so go see if you could spot that. There were so many layers, like hundreds of layers of bubbles and characters that we had to separate to give it depth, and it was just me working with the stereoscopic artist measuring for the entire film. Isn't that nuts? Of course, we had a vendor that we collaborated with who did the actual work of separating the layers, but that was a whole sea beast of a task on its own. I watched Under the Sea so many times. I am surprised I still don't have all the lyrics memorized perfectly. But it really made me appreciate the film industry and all the work that all these different artists had put into creating and recreating fairy tales and fantasy lands from back in the day. Even if it wasn't 100% historically accurate, they were still able to make something new and refreshing for the modern age. Jellyfish are really fascinating as well because they don't have a brain and they just kind of live their life instinctually, and they always look like they're in a rave or dancing to something. Isn't it so cool how light reflects and refracts underwater? Ugh, the element is so beautiful. I love light and how it works and bends, and it's just so cool. Yo, get in here, fam. Bruh.
Check out that mirror vibe, bro. Check out the infinity mirror room.
Penguins are so fast underwater, it's kind of crazy. I couldn't get really good footage of it because it was so dark and people were crowding on the glass area, but I hope you can kind of see. They do a reverse toboggan to propel themselves up to jump back onto land. It's kind of awesome. Toboggan's probably not the right word because that's like them sledding on their stomachs going down slopes on snow and ice, but I think you get the idea. Okay, so where do we put it?
Now press it.
Oh, you don't have to crank it.
Does it?
Oh, that was fast. No, it's not, dude. That was the next door. Oh, it's hot as
I'm glad I didn't stop recording until now.
Is anyone else super into collecting pennies? I've been doing this since I was a kid because Disneyland had really made this popular, and I used to go almost like an annual pilgrimage when I was really young because my mom's favorite character is Mickey Mouse. And so I got a whale shark. Luckily, these ones are fully automated and you don't have to crank using your arm, and that doesn't give any weird dents into the coin. What's fun is that these coins that they give you are actually flat without any monetary value, and you just have to pay for the process of making a coin. The gift shop was so well done. Every little thing was a cute design of marine animals. I got this little charm that has this amazing pattern and texture on it. I have an elephant that I got from a Thai market vendor in Los Angeles, and so this whale was going to keep my elephant company on my nightstand. I was really tempted to get a bunch of ties, but I stopped myself and got charms instead because they were smaller, and the cookies looked really good. Oh my gosh, like everything. Same with these jellyfish. So colorful and pretty realistic for a little toy that's supposed to be for kids. I don't know. I will never grow up though. I will always be a child inside. It was dark by the time we got outside, but it was really cool because the holiday sound and lights came on right as we were exiting, and we got to catch a little bit of that before heading out. On the way back, of course, we had to take one last look at the beautiful Ferris wheel that had a bunch of lights and words and colors projected onto it. I really enjoy how colorful and different things look at nighttime, no matter what city you go to. It's just a totally different vibe, and I'm super here for both day and nightlife views. Check out this really interesting technological alleyway. And also had to capture the manhole. It was about a 40-minute ride back, and by the time we got back to our area, we were hungry, and so I suggested going to the mall to eat at this gyutan place. I'll explain what that is in just a second, but a word to the wise: don't always trust every review that you read, especially from foreigners, just because they have a different palate than what you're probably used to or what the locals are used to, and so the locals might think it's really good, or vice versa. Foreigners might think it's really good, and locals might think that it's not as high quality as they expect. So just take every review with a big grain of salt. I really enjoyed seeing these mustache mannequins and this, what looks like to be a local designer brand called No Comment for golfing. Gyu is cow, and so it was a beef-centric eatery that had pretty good reviews on TripAdvisor. Unfortunately, my dish was a little dry and slightly chewy, which was surprising, but it was tasty nonetheless, and we were able to try casual curry as it's made in Osaka. After a nice warm meal and getting to rest our feet for a little bit, we then walked to the next location after stopping by to capture this manhole, of course. You would think we would be done and heading back to our hotel at this point, but no, we decided to go to Spa World. This place is an onsen, and there are 2 levels, one for women and one for men. Every day they switch so that each gender can experience both levels and rooms equally. The rooms were really large and beautiful, but be careful for slippery surfaces as water gets splashed around. And since it is a big place, it takes a while for the staff to come by and to push the water to the side. So just be wary while you're walking around in the public baths. The receptionist didn't speak English and there were no translations on the machines, so we did have to use Google Translate and our friend to help us out while purchasing tickets, but after that everything was pretty straightforward. You gotta leave your shoes in lockers that are 100 yen that you get back when you return to pick your shoes up, and then you go to your designated floor and enjoy steamy bath time. We spent a couple hours here, and after that, then it was time to head back. And we were too tired for any happy hour, so our friends wanted to pick something up at the conveni for breakfast the next morning. I wanted to get mine fresh, but I wanted to see what the local convenience stores looked like. So here's some shots of that before we hit the haystack ready for another day. Thanks for joining me on another awesome day of exploration. Technically, this is our first day in Japan, so another couple weeks left to adventure around in, and I hope you stick around to see the rest of it. I would appreciate a subscribe and click the notification bell so that you know when I post new content. You can follow me on my links in the description box below, and let me know you're a fan in the comments. Catch you next time. Keep curious, everyone.